Good morning, everyone. Get that out of the way. Let's see here. Stuff set up. Well, this is office hours, so no lecture planned content. But I'm here to answer any questions you guys have. Paper questions, struggling with the paper. Have you taken the test yet? Do you have questions about the exam? Just let me know. Let me get this off the screen. Sorry. Go back to our course. Otherwise, I'm just going to be working on stuff at my other laptop here and waiting for you guys to throw a question at me. So if I'm looking to the side, I'm answering emails and stuff on the other computer. I did want to bring this up though. Let's see here. All right. Let's see. Hey Levi, you have two questions, one on the exam, one on the paper. All right, fire away. Let's hear them. Absolutely. You can take the exam whenever you want between now and Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. The only follow-up to that would be, why am I looking here? Looking at two computers. The only follow-up to that would be two important things. You only get one shot at the exam, and it's timed at 40 minutes. But other than that, you're absolutely right. You could take it between now and Sunday night, 11:59 p.m. It's like a big reading quiz. 50 items instead of 10, all multiple choice or true false. I'm just waiting, Levi, for you to ask your question about the paper. No big deal. Take your time. Katie, is there any chance you could give me some feedback on the paper before the final submission? Yeah, about that. So I can, but like how much feedback? I feel like I've devoted a lot of class time to helping you guys with it, the paper, and I'm giving you lots of resources. If you have a specific question, or you want me to glance at it, yeah, but in terms of like grading it twice, once this week and giving feedback and then wait for you to turn in for the actual grade and giving feedback, I won't do that. But if you have specific concerns, or you're like, hey, just look at this section, do you think I'm right on track, I would be happy to do that. But I'm not gonna like literally grade it, give it back, have you fix everything, and then turn it in for the real grade. Like, not a rough draft. There's no rough draft turn in for this paper, only because of all the resources I've already given you guys and the time we spent in class. So I don't feel like that's. Now we do have a writing center, but we're getting down to it. We do have Walter State does have a writing center. Here, and that's what they do full time. They'll look over your paper. They'll look more at like formatting. They're not going to grade it for you necessarily. Where is it here? I know it's here. No, I'm patient, Levi. You take your time. I'm waiting, buddy. We have an hour, so no big deal. Where is this online writing center? Dr. Jennifer Baker, not Jennifer Baker, Mays heads it up. I don't know, I'm not seeing it. Let me back up here to our main site. Oh, maybe it's the online writing lab, not center. Yeah, here we go. It's the online writing lab. So you can submit this is Jennifer Mays right here. You can submit, let me put this in chat. Hold on a second. This actual link so you guys can look at it. That's where I was just looking. That's the online writing center. And so back to your question, Katie, like if you want a really thorough, someone to like fine pick your paper apart, they can do that. Now they don't have necessarily my grading criteria. They're looking more at format, coherence, logic, things like that. But I'd be happy to give it a quick look, just as you can imagine, with 100 and some odd students. And it's due this Sunday. That just wouldn't be feasible for me to. It takes me over a week and a half to grade all the papers, sometimes 2 weeks, once you actually submit them. So to give you kind of a time frame, it's a lot of time on my part. Let's see, Levi. So we take the information we have already in the outline you've helped us with and use transition sentences to kind of put all the information into the paper and remove the headings. No, don't remove the headings, Levi. Absolutely leave the headings in the paper. This is not written the way probably a lot of you are used to writing in MLA format, transition sentences, things like that. It's very explicit and very logical. It's scientific writing. Stick to the template I've given you. Look at the suggestions I've given you in each section. Look to the sample paper I've given you. I think the again, the thing that you guys are probably struggle with the most is going to be the arguments of adequacy that you're building for those sections. But now stick to that template. This is not supposed to be a flowing connective essay. This is a technical paper where you are analyzing the quality of a peer-reviewed scientific journal article. It's not a persuasive essay. It's not a flowing essay. It is scientific writing. It's objective. It's explicit. So I hope I've answered that question, Levi. I feel confident in the structure. I just feel like it's too much of me restating. Or yeah, that's a common, Katie. That's a common worry amongst people, is that you're restating the paper. That's true for some of the paper. Like, let me pull up let's go here. Let's go to the template and let's talk about this for a second. All right, let's blow this. Let's get it up so it's nice and large and we can all see it well. All right, this is the template, right? And we've already worked through a lot of this. We worked the title page. We worked the introduction, methodology, participants, instruments, and Levi. This is what I was talking about. Leave these headings, these bold headings here. Definitely leave them in the paper. Getting back to what you said, Katie, you're right. Like the methods, participants, instruments, analysis techniques, you're essentially just telling me, you're identifying those key aspects of the article and you're retelling them, you're restating them. But hopefully you're paraphrasing when you're doing that. And there's value in that. Like there's value in a student being able to identify these parts of a scientific paper. So I don't want you to, first of all, I don't want you to think that that's not valuable. That's a valuable skill. And you restating that is not in any way plagiarizing. It's just showing me that it's demonstrating the competence that you know the paper, you've read the paper, you understand these aspects. But where it's not restating, and I can't emphasize this enough, where it's not restating is in the analysis adequacy, in the adequacy sections of the work. And there are multiple sections, right? So once you state the analysis techniques, you got to build right here. Given the research question, goals of the study, and data collection, or the chosen analysis techniques adequate, why or why not? That is not you restating. That's you building a logical argument, good or bad, yes or no, right? You could say that the analysis techniques were adequate, and here's why. That was not stated in the paper. That's you having to understand the paper and build an argument as to why that was or was not adequate. And you're going to find the same thing here. Once you state the results, right? The results are going to be as you look at the graphs and the tables and the charts and the work, you're looking at what they found. You have to answer this question. Given the data analysis techniques, were the results adequate? Do they align? Do they line up? Why or why not? It may be the case, for example, that when you get to the results adequacy section, you're like, hey, there wasn't a table showcasing this data, or I would have liked a bar chart here. I would have liked a line chart here. Those are inadequacy arguments of inadequacy. Or it could be they did a fantastic job showcasing this result using a bar chart. They looked at this variable and that variable, and it really made the findings seem clear and logical. Like you can build that argument as well, like a good argument, saying yeah. And then here in the conclusion section, you're going to talk about how the findings generalize to the real world. How could we use them in the real world? And then how could we not use them in the real world? How is it limited? in some way. And hint, hint, guys, look to the end of your paper and you'll tend to see that they identify these things, the conclusions. And then you have to, again, build your argument of whether or not the conclusions were adequate given the goals of the paper, of the study. So to some degree, yeah, you are restating, but you're paraphrasing. As a recap, you're paraphrasing. And that's demonstrating competence, showing that you've read the article and you know how it's organized and what it means. And then the arguments are more so deep, reflective thinking, showing me that you've thought deeply about how this could be better or how it's really good already. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, it's, again, I hear that every term, Katie. Nothing new. Like, people tell me that every single term. And you shouldn't worry about that. Have you guys noticed let's go here. I'm going to go to the Dropbox for a second. Who can I pick on today? This is for my Northview class. So I'm trying to see if I can find someone who submitted multiple copies. No, hold on. I'm going to move to a different class. Hang with me for a second. These are not grades, so I'm not like showcasing anyone's grades, and no one freak out. I'm just looking at percentage reports so I can talk to you guys about this. Let me do this. Let me go back to I'm going to go back to a previous class, okay? I need to blank my screen for 1 second so I can show this to you guys. Hold on. All right, I'll be 1 second. I just need to pull something up. I'm still with you guys. I haven't left you or anything. Let me do this real quick. Okay, I'm going to go back to an older class from a previous semester. Let's go back to spring. Let's go back to last year. Well, that probably would be good. Let's go back to fall. All right, I'm going to pull up a fall section here and we can look at a different Dropbox. 1 second. Stay with me. Okay, I'll bring you back into the picture here. It's a previous class I taught a few years ago, and you guys see these colored boxes here. You're going to see color boxes for your paper as well. And what the color box indicates is the level, the percentage of your paper that matches another paper. And what all of you have to realize is, like Katie was talking about restating, obviously you're going to see some restating here. So let me pull up. I'll pull up this one. I haven't looked at this in a while. I don't know the grade of this one. It's not reported here, so I just want to use it as an example here for you. All right, so obviously you guys notice right away, right, that parts of the paper are highlighting that are common, right? I mean, so this is, I'm not going to count this as I look at everyone's going to have a percentage because you're going to have parts of your paper that are going to be common across all papers. So you see, this is not anything I'm worried about. I just skip all this. I'm like, they're not plagiarizing anything. So I move down. And I see the introduction, though, has some sentences like this. They hypothesized that all mental illness would increase the risk of suicide even after controlling, and the risk would be high as close. What happened here, the student did not effectively paraphrase this, and so I would have said to them, hey, this is too close to the source, so you either should have put quotes around it and a page number, or you should have put it in your own words. You should have said something like this. I can do this really quickly. Let's think about this. When considering the risk of suicide, the researchers thought that they would see an increase after controlling for points of diagnosis across disorders and people with all mental illness. I did that 20 seconds, right? I paraphrase that. It takes a little effort, but you can do it. And that student should have done that. But notice this. Notice the section headings highlighting. I'm not paying attention to that because I know all of you are going to have those. I come down. I'm looking. Again, this. A little too close. No quotes. No quotes at all. Analysis techniques. They talked about adjusted odds ratios in this paper. Let me read their analysis. Okay. I can tell you right now, I would have criticized this student's paper heavily. Notice here, they identify the odds ratios. They said that conditional logistical regression model was used. That's true, it was. Adjusted odds ratios were developed. Okay. The variables were suicide and had two subgroups. Great. So they identified the analysis technique. They gave me the variables. Perfect. I'm giving them full credit for this section, analysis. But now let's go to the arguments. The analysis techniques were adequate. The many tables prove that because you can see and understand each set of results better than you would be able to with a graph, because with the tables you have the right numbers in front of you, whereas if you were looking at a graph you would have to go from estimations instead. Number one, that's a run-on sentence. So I would say that. But as I read that, I would like for you guys to tell me why I would critique this. I'm curious. Why do you think I would think that is not a good argument of adequacy for the analysis section? You tell me. What do you guys think? You can type, I don't know, Terry. You can type it too. If you'd like, I don't know what you're talking about. You can just type that in the chat. I'm just curious. Why do you think I would think that's not a good argument of adequacy for the analysis section? It's a little short. Yeah, that's not the biggest. Levi, the thing is, if you can be succinct and still make a good argument, I'm completely okay with that. It could have been short, but if it was, there's a difference between quality and quantity. I've read many arguments 4 paragraphs long that were complete garbage. They were long, but they were just garbage. Okay, Katie says they didn't back it up well enough. Okay, I like both of those. Let me tell you why I think this is a very poor argument. Anywhere in this section, you tell me, where did they mention the 2 analyses that they said were used up here? They said up here, conditional logistical regression and adjusted odds ratios were used, right? Where do they even talk about that here? They don't. They never even mention the analyses. How can you build an argument and not even reference the analyses that you're building the argument for? Now, this is common. This is a common mistake. What they did is they started building an argument for what? For the results, not for the analyses. They start talking about tables and charts, graphs. Those are results, not analyses. So right away, the argument does not cohere. It's not a good argument because they're talking about the wrong thing. They're talking about the results, not the analysis techniques. They should have talked about here, okay, I'm gonna build the argument on the fly for you guys. You ready? They use a conditional logistical regression and adjusted odds ratios, right? We talked a bit about odds ratios in class, but essentially odd ratios show correlation between things, whether something's present or absent. And a logistical regression model shows a prediction. This particular study looked at attempted suicide and successful suicide, okay? So whether that's present or not, the adjusted odd ratios. So they should have said, hey, the adjusted odd ratios was a good analysis technique in determining the relationship whether the attempt at suicide was present or the successful suicide was present or absent. A regression model shows the predictive, it shows what are the best predictors of suicide. And they looked at a lot of them in the study, like family support, substance abuse, previous bouts of depression, diagnosed types. So it loaded all these predictors into this regression model, and they're like, which one best predicts the two things, successful suicide or an attempted suicide? If they had built that argument, hey, it was a good analysis technique because they were wanting to find predictors, and the best way to do that is use a regression model, then they would have gotten full credit. But they didn't. They built an argument based on results. I'm going to keep kind of scrolling down the paper here, and we'll look at the rest of it. The risk of dying by suicide was much higher within the first 90 days of being diagnosed. Depression and anxiety were the highest risk during the first years of attempts. All disorders were, they did a pretty good job. I would say that's 75 to 80% competence of demonstrating. They talked about the most important result. They really didn't mention, though, any bar charts. They didn't mention any line graphs. They didn't mention anything there there were some more results in this paper that they didn't mention. So I would have given them like a C for that. On the rubric, let's go here for a second. Let's go down the rubric here. An adequacy of analysis. I would have scored their adequacy right here on this level 2, which says the essay provides an illogical determination or argument. The reason it was illogical, because they were arguing for results, not for analysis. Let's go down to the results part of the rubric. I would have scored this probably a 3 out of 4 right here. The essay provides a reasonable description of the results of the study, but it's not precise because they didn't mention all of them. Coming down to the adequacy of results, let's go back and look at their adequacy section, and we can come back and reference this. The results were adequate because the tables in the article line up with the results that were found. I would have failed this aspect. That argument is very vague, and there's no substance to it. If I go back to the rubric here for a second, adequacy of results. Essay does not determine the adequacy of results of the study. It just doesn't. It doesn't give me any reference to particular results or what about them was good or how it was good. Or if you wanted to make an argument that they were poor, it doesn't reference what parts were poor or why they were poor. So I would have graded it down here on the rubric. Conclusions. One of the main strengths, they were able to control for the mental illness to prevent the results from being confounded. Okay, controls are an important part of limitations, but they didn't really say that. Population sample also provided the power of analysis, captures all. Yeah, and I would say that's a pretty strong argument. In this particular study, they sampled a Canadian province, so they talk hundreds of thousands of people were in this. And so that's a decent argument for relating it to the real world, right? Let's go back here to the rubric, not the rubric. Let's go back here to how do the findings generalize to the real world, and how are the findings limited or confined within a certain situation? I feel like that's a pretty good statement, observation from the research study, because they sampled an entire population that really captures, it's powerful. It does generalize to the world. The findings were limited because the severity of disorders was not able to be assessed. And the study was limited to only those who received treatment. Yeah, that's also a decent statement of limitation. I would probably grade this section 3 out of 4 on the rubric. The adequacy. The conclusions were adequate because they were able to show that there is a correlation between suicide and mental disorders. Not good enough. I would have failed that. Would have failed that part of the paper. That is not in any way a substantial argument. Let's go to my rubric again for a second. Let's go back here. Let's go back to adequacy of conclusions. There's no evidence. I mean, they make one statement that it's adequate because it showed a correlation, but in no way they tell me why that is the case. And so that is just not logical. I would probably grade that here as a 2. They did make a statement, but they didn't really back it up with any evidence. So does that help you guys to kind of show you an example of a paper, what it looks like in the feedback studio? And all of you will see this for your papers, by the way, right? You'll see these highlighted sections of your paper. You're going to know before I do if you need to go back and paraphrase. So like if you run this report, if you submit a paper to the Dropbox and it runs the report and you see something like this, you're like, oh, I remember Terry talking about that. I need to probably either do a better job at paraphrasing this, or I need to put quotes around it because there's no way I can effectively paraphrase it. And re-upload it again. And then check the plagiarism report again. See what it looks like. What other questions do you guys have about the paper or the test or anything? It's really depressing to go to your Twitter feed these days, isn't it, guys? Just nothing but the coronavirus. Okay, I completely misunderstood that thing. The final submission will look very similar to that of the outline we did in class. Absolutely, Levi. Yeah. In fact, to kind of back that up, let's do this. I'm going to go back to that material for article review section that's in your course module, right? And I have an example paper, an exemplar, a good paper at the bottom of this. You see it says exemplar paper to reference. That's the student submission sent to me in a previous semester that's good. I wouldn't call it perfect. It's got some flaws, but it's a good paper. It's an A paper. This is an A paper. Let's look at it for a second. Title page, right? Looks just like yours, even though they're talking about a completely different article. Ooh, that's too small. What are you doing, Terry? Bump up just a little bit more, but not crazy large. There we go. Title page just like yours. Introduction section just like yours, right? Notice the citations here that the student's dropping. Good job. They're doing a lot of paraphrasing. Also, though, look at this. You guys see this right here? The student directly quoted from the article, and then here they included an in-text citation that has the page number from which they directly quoted. But like, look at this, Levi. It looks like your template, doesn't it? I mean, it's completely filled out, but it looks a lot like your template. It's got the same section headings that yours does. And look at the length of this paper, guy. This is a 12-page paper to kind of give you an idea. Like the average, I'd say the average length of this paper is 10 pages. Yeah, certainly. Sorry for the yawns. I don't mean to do that. Those are contagious. Any other questions you guys have about the paper? Katie, you good? Levi, you guys feel better? Maybe? I hope other students will watch this stream. I think it would benefit them greatly as they kind of polish their papers up. Some students I just have not seen at all in the last 2 weeks online. You two I've seen a lot of, but some I really worry about. I'm not seeing a single occurrence of them in a stream, which could mean that they're on track and everything's perfect, or it could mean something different. I just worry about it meaning something different. So if you're watching this later and you're one of those students, I'm watching you. Okay. I'm noticing that you're not showing up, and I really hope you'll watch these streams as you build your paper. Use the resources in the course module. Watch the YouTube video I have out there. Look at the grading rubric. Look at the example paper. Stick to the template. Yeah, please do all those things. I'm good. I don't think I need a review, honestly. Okay, good. You feel better about it? Yeah. Yeah, it should be Levi. Levi, you're in my Seymour section, right? Let's go here. There, here, Let me go back to our current semester, get out of this old semester. All right. So Levi, I'm seeing yours right now. I literally have yours pulled up on the screen. Look right here. See that box to the right side of your paper? You should see that in your Dropbox. So if you go to the assessment link, you log into the course, you go to assessments and Dropbox, you should see a colored box next. Can you guys verify that for me? Make sure you can see that. You should see a colored box. And all you need to do to launch the reports, click on the box. Come over here, and I can click on your paper. And as you know, we talked about Levi, right? Like this, I'm assuming to see this because everyone's got the same text. So they come down, look at your introduction. I'm not really concerned with this, that it's just picking up a few words from the paper. It looks like it did right here, the hypothesis. You may want to quote that because it looks like when you talk about the hypothesis. Yeah, I can, just didn't know how to submit another one. Oh yeah, so when you submit, it take a few minutes, Levi. Like if you wait and submit the night it's due, forget about it. Like if you wait, let's say to 11:30 at night, the night this thing's due, you're probably never going to see your report because everyone's going to be slamming the system at that time. But if on a normal day, if you submit this, it'll take about 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes. The report will run and it'll be there for you. Just upload a new, just like you did back here, just upload another version of your paper to the Dropbox and it will automatically generate that. Let me make myself a student here, Terry the student. And remember to submit to the Dropbox. You just go to Assessment, Dropbox. It shows me that I have 2 submissions. You found it? Cool, cool. And you just add your file. Just add your file, re-upload it, and you're good. Yeah. We got about 10 minutes, guys. Anything else y'all want to talk about? Any other questions or concerns you have? Let's see. Well, I'm going to blank the screen. Excuse me. I'm going to blank the screen for a second. I want to look at test progress, but I can't do that with you guys watching because it will actually show grades. Yeah, well, Katie, it represents a match, but let's go back to this for a second. Okay, so here in Levi's paper, for example, let me answer your question. Is this plagiarism? No, it's not. Why? Because that's the section heading that's in every single paper. So the color in for this does not represent plagiarism. Okay. Now, as I come down to Levi's paper, here, I think he meant to say they hypothesized. And right here, I would say, yes, that Levi should put quotes around that, or he should paraphrase where it says visual illusions can facilitate sports skill learning. That makes sense. At the end of his paper, I can almost guarantee this. Hold on, let me scroll up. This is not plagiarism. Everyone in the paper is going to have this show up red. This section heading is going to show up red. So hopefully that I answered the question for you, Katie. I'm going to blink the screen just for a second, though, because I'm going to look and see if be right back. And let's see how you guys are doing on the test. But I'm still here. I can still hear you. No, well, no one in the Seymour class has attempted the exam just yet. Let's see if we can find others who might have taken it. See if any at Northview have taken the exam just yet. No, no one at Northview has taken the exam either. Looks like it's you guys, which has only been up one day, so yeah, no biggie. I'm gonna take this back off now. Yeah, no one's taken it just yet. You think you're nervous? Nah, you shouldn't be nervous. I think you guys will do better on the online version than you did the on-ground version. Because I know you guys have books and notes and stuff like that to your, so that will help you a little bit. The time limit will prevent you from looking up too much or even most, but it will help you. I tried to build questions in there, Katie, that we had talked about in class. Like, it's not going to be as broad as the reading quiz. The reading quiz will ask about studies or percentages or, really like minute details from the textbook to cause you to read, because that's what it's for, right? It's a reading quiz. Those are not going to be questions you will see on the exam itself. The exam will be more questions that you should know based on what we've talked about in class or what we've talked about in the PowerPoints or what we've talked about in streams. So. How do you guys think yesterday went? Is that kind of what you were hoping to see just from the little lecture standpoint? I think both of you were there yesterday. Pretty sure you were. Oh, good. I'm glad it went well. We'll do that every week going forward until we finish. I mean, think about it, guys. We're really at the end of March. The end of this week, we'll just basically have April left in the college semester. You know, we'll be taking our final exam the first week of May. So, yeah, we're going to look up and the semester's going to be over. And maybe we'll also be out of this mess that we seem to be in right now with COVID-19. I hope so. All right, guys, we just got a few minutes left. It's almost 12. So I'm going to shut the stream down at 12 o'clock. Unless there are any last minute questions that you want to ask me. Otherwise, just work hard throughout the rest of this week. Stay on top of it. The big, as I said in the announcement in the course page, yeah, this is a big week for you guys. Exam, paper, quiz, discussion board, content, reading. You got a lot to do in the class. So yeah, okay, thanks for coming, Katie. We'll see you. Yeah, have a good day. You're very welcome. All right, guys. Well, it's 12 o'clock, so I'm going to wrap it up here. You guys have a good day, and reach out for me via email if you need me. Take care. Until next time, we'll see you.